Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness, Nathan.
Got my Mountie costume on.
That's awesome. Wow. I love it.
Chad, you're a great Chad. We love you.
All right. I got a question about When Calls the Heart. Season 8, during the finale, after the finale aired, people were thinking that maybe Nathan was going to get shipped together with Faith. And I was wondering what your thoughts on that. Was that an idea that the writers came up with or anything?
Good question. Yeah, Chad. I think we need to put you on the show. I mean, you're ready.
Perfectly.
Well,
just grow a little mustache, full patch, and you'll be seamless.
Chad is an actor, and and he's a podcaster, and I've had him on the show. Actually, he had a unicorn hat when I had him on the show. Oh my goodness!
Thanks, Andrea. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. I love the outfit. Love it.
I want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill, and I am your host. And this episode, listeners, my guest is one of these amazing actors, but she is so much more than that. There are people in this world who you sometimes connect with them immediately. Andrea Brooks is that for me. From the very beginning, from our very first conversation ever, back when she was first on the show, back season 2, When Calls the Heart, we connected. And from that moment, there's just been this amazing understanding, friendship, mutual admiration, respect that has grown between us. And this episode is so special because, I probably shouldn't call myself a host of this show, of this episode at least. My audience, they ask the most amazing, unbelievable, phenomenal questions. You'll hear Andrea's responses. We go in deep with When Calls the Heart. She talks about faith, but she talks about her other projects, and she just answers questions from all over. Oh, you're going to get some hilarious moments. You will definitely want to watch the video on this one when you get the chance. But if you're just listening, that's fine too. Because no matter what, this experience is one that I am proud and honored to bring to you. Not because of me, but because of Andrea Brooks and because of my amazing virtual co-hosts. So without any further ado, sit back and relax and listen to my conversation. No, I'm sorry. Our conversation with Andrea Brooks.
I want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. And my name is Ruth Hill, and I am your host. And I have a wonderful, wonderful, amazing guest. This particular person I have known for several years, Andrea Brooks. It is such a delight and such a joy to have you here, Andrea. And so thank you for coming on. I was just telling my virtual audience before you came on that I've known you longer than Paul Greene.
I think that's right. Of course, because we spoke, was it after the second season or after the third season? Second season, yeah. So well before Paul.
Oh yeah. It was the second season because I was reaching out to you before people wanted Faith to stick around. Second season, they were like, get rid of Faith. We don't want her. Yes. We never want to see her.
Yes, I remember those days.
And you were always so gracious during those times. But for those who may not know about Andrea, let me just give you read a little bit about her here. Andrea Brooks is a Canadian actress who began her acting career at age 15 after being spotted in an open casting call for figure skaters for the Disney film Ice Princess. Some of Andrea's television credits include roles on Supernatural, iZombie, Unreal, and Supergirl, where she played Eve Tessmacher. And we'll talk about that because I definitely want to talk about Supergirl. She can also be seen in feature films such as What Goes Up, No Man Beyond This Point, The Company You Keep, and 50-50. Andrea plays the role of Faith Carter on When Calls the Heart. She's done that since season 2. Growing up, Andrea trained in figure skating, dance, music, and theater. Andrea holds a bachelor's and master's of art degree from the University of British Columbia.
Accurate.
All right, good. See, that's good.
Thank you, Ruth. I am glad to hear that my IMDb is up to date and accurate. That actually makes me feel quite good.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Well, what I want to focus on now, we've talked, I know, over the years about Faith and her journey on When Calls the Heart. We've talked some about Supergirl. Before I forget, I want to ask, I know that you did a documentary. We're involved with that documentary with the original actress who played Eve Tessmacher.
Yes.
And has that documentary been released so that we can see it?
Yes, it has been released. I believe it's available on Vimeo, actually. It was exciting. It did the rounds. It was during COVID, so things were a little bit shut down, of course, but it did the rounds and picked up some awards, and it was in contention for the Oscars, actually, for documentary shorts, which was super cool. It didn't quite make the cut, but obviously an honor to be a part of anything that is, reaches a level such as that. And it was a little documentary. I found out about it online. It was something Stacey Souther, the director, had been working on it for years, and we got in touch, and he was like, please, next time you're in LA, let's meet up, come meet Valerie. And she's just such an icon and inspiration to me. And it was just one of those little projects that just happened, and I just feel very fortunate, and it was really, really cool getting to meet her.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to look it up because I know I thought about that documentary because I know how special it was to you, and that's good to know that we can now see it. So I'm gonna have to look that one up because I want to see it. I definitely want to see it. And Supergirl has come to an end. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. So what was, as you look back now that Supergirl is done, which I was telling the audience beforehand how I was just always amazed how you were able to jump back and forth between filming When Calls the Heart, filming Supergirl, and you were pregnant while you were doing this. And then then you got pregnant, you had the baby, and then you came back, you just like I couldn't believe how quickly you were back on set. But what was that, if you look back at your time on Supergirl, what's like some of the most memorable things about that show for you?
Oh, so many things. I wouldn't even know. Okay, I'll try to start somewhere. First of all, I loved the character. She was just so much fun. She was quirky and offbeat and unassuming. And just when you think you have her pinned down, she would heel turn on you. And she's Lex Luthor's girlfriend / assistant. So she was ultimately up to no good, which was really, really fun to play. But I feel like I'm walking away from that project with a handful of wonderful friends. And just getting to work with so many legendary actors, getting to work on content that is so meaningful and impactful. The superhero universe, I won't pretend I know the first thing about it, but it's expansive and it's really, really cool to play in that arena. It was a lot of fun. I think at the end of the day, that was just super, super, super fun.
That's so good to hear. I know that you were so supported in that show. A lot of really great, strong women. Yeah. And they supported you so much during time that you were pregnant. Weren't there were others that were involved with the show that were like pregnant at different times? Do I remember that right?
I'm trying to think now. Yes. Yep,
okay.
Yep, there were a few. Yep.
That's what I was thinking.
That's always kind of the funny thing when you're on a show for a number of years. People get married, people might get divorced, people have families. It is one of those funny things that happens when you're existing alongside a character. So yes, you are correct.
Okay. because I seem to remember something about that. I think you even might have mentioned that when you were either going on maternity leave or coming back from maternity leave. I seem to remember something about that. Okay, well, yes. It's one of those shows that I still have to go back and watch, because I'm sure it's available for streaming somewhere. I know I saw parts of. I never saw. I know I watched the first couple seasons pretty faithfully, so I did see your character, but I want to see what happens with your character later on. As I started reading, I'd read all the stuff and like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it definitely season 4, big change for Eve. Big change. I'd say season 4 was the most fun. Lex Luthor came in. It was very exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So I will definitely have to take a look at the series and just just stream it sometime. And the cool thing is I don't have to wait for the seasons. Now it's like you just watch it down and just binge
when a show's done, you have the gift of completion, so you can tackle the whole thing. That is very true.
That's true. So of course we are thoroughly enjoying getting to see Faith on When Calls the Heart this season. The only thing I can say though is, poor Faith. Is she ever going to get a guy? I'm sorry. This has been, I think we have talked about Faith's love journey every single interview we've had, just about.
Right. You're right. She is unlucky in love. That is for sure. Oh, I feel for her. I want her to be happy, but there's also just so much on her plate right now. And I don't think she's the most emotionally mature character when it comes to herself. She has a lot of emotional maturity when it comes to dealing with other people and being a good nurse, now doctor, of course. But when it comes to herself, she neglects her feelings and she pushes things aside. And as you remember from season 8, things took a turn for the worse with Carson. Unfortunately, and I think that there was some emotional immaturity there that she hasn't quite been able to deal with.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that because I love this character, but she's been so career focused for so long that, sometimes when that happens, other things get pushed aside. Yeah. And unfortunately, the love life, I think, is one of those things.
Yeah. But she's doing a fantastic job as doctor. I know it's like we see her in season 1 of our current season, and she's like, oh, can I do it? Can I handle the infirmary on my own? And I'm just sitting there watching. Well, of course you can, Faith. We know you can. You've done it before.
True. I think this season more than others, she needs a little bit of encouragement. And I think Carson being out of town is a huge reason behind that. She got you for the past 4 seasons. You've seen Faith working side by side with somebody who she had an excellent working relationship with. And when that disappears, it's all on you. I think there's just a lot of added pressure. And also, of course, being a woman in those times, worrying if the town will trust you the way that they trusted Carson, let's say. There's just a lot at play, and there's just a lot going on in her mind.
Yeah. And then of course we have a pharmacist that came to town. And that was a shocker because everybody was expecting her husband.
Yes.
And everybody's blindsided because, who's this? And I absolutely love Amanda Wong is the actress, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Have you spoken to her yet?
I have not yet. Lovely. I want to desperately.
She's lovely.
Yeah. I was taken with her before the series even started. And then at her entrance, and she is just, she's also strikingly beautiful, man. Fair. I mean, it just like she blew me away when I first saw her. Like, oh my goodness.
I think I'm with you. I think her entrance is one of the best on the show's history. I love that she was in disguise. I love that she put her finger up to her lips to little Jack. Oh, just everything about it was just like, whoa, who is this? I want to know more.
Yeah. But I think that's going to be an interesting story as we keep watching it. And so what can you tease about this season? I know we've just gotten started, and I'm not wanting you to give spoilers, of course, but what can you tease about this season?
I've said before, there's a lot of growth happening this season for everybody. And you're also going to see a lot of, I know we've seen this in prior seasons, but the technology is really catching up quickly here, and trends are shifting, and the world is changing, and Hope Valley is changing. And you really get a sense of that this season, which I find quite exciting. So there's a lot of change all around, and a lot of growth on everyone's part. That's what I would say for an overarching tease for the whole season.
Well, and we have a new mayor as well.
Yes. I'm so excited. I adore Hickam. He's one of my favorite characters. I think Ben does such a fabulous job with that character. He's so funny, and I just love an underdog storyline. I love that.
Yeah. I think everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody. I think a lot of us were hoping he would become mayor. Not that we didn't, we love all the characters, of course, but it's nice to see Hickam have a little more significant storyline. He's kind of got a girlfriend, kind of has a girlfriend with Fiona. They aren't really calling each other. I know Fiona's not into labels, but they're kind of together.
And I love that dynamic. I love how the two of them check in with each other, and I think they're a fabulous duo. All their scenes make me laugh.
Yeah. Well, it was just asked in the chat. So Timmy's asking if you miss all the live music that Paul Greene used to bring to set.
Of course. You know what? It's so strange coming into the beginning of this season. It's kind of like, okay, you might know this, Ruth, because you're a teacher. Mm-hmm. It kind of felt like, do you remember in elementary school when you would have your desks arranged in a certain way? You were in rows, or perhaps you were side by side with another student, and the teacher would come in one day and be like, okay, class, we're changing our desks. And in that moment, you're like, what? I can't imagine not sitting next to this person. Mm-hmm. I've become so close with them. We're friends. What are we going to do? Who am I going to work on projects with? And then you shift and shuffle, and there's a new normal. And it's not bad, it's not good, it's just different. And that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like our desks were rearranged this season.
Yeah. I can see that. I can definitely see that. What I will say is it was nice that the first episode, people kept talking about Carson. They kept talking about how they missed him or whatever. And I thought, okay. Yeah, because I know there's always the question, is he out of the show? Is he going to come back? It's like, well, he's not dead, okay? He's not dead. So...
And he's very much still informing storylines on the show. And I'll say I'm a character who's left and come back. And you never know. Hope Valley is a town. Of course, it's a story about Elizabeth, but it's also a story about a town, and people leave and come back, and things change, dynamics change, people get married, people separate. You never know. And I never know what we're doing until we get the scripts. And sometimes we get the scripts very, very, very last minute. So it's always a surprise to me. I'm always just as surprised as the audience is watching as when I'm reading the scripts, preparing to shoot the next episodes.
So did you guys have any fun behind the scenes stories this time when you were filming?
Oh yeah, so many. I think there's always so much happening. There are so many actors involved on the show, and so many wonderful crew members who've been with us for so many years. Mm-hmm. But I think this was a year of reflection. I don't know if the pandemic had something to do with that, because we're still very cautious. We don't want the show to be shut down. If there's a positive case, that puts everyone at risk of shutting down the show, whether it be temporarily or who knows. So we all respected that, and we all were pretty careful in our regular lives, and we would come to set, and I think it just made us that much more appreciative of one another. And I'd say this season behind the scenes, there were just a lot of group chats where we would all sit in big circles in our cast chairs and be like, do you remember in season 3? It's been so long, and we all share such an interesting history together. And there was just a lot of reflection and an appreciation this year between the cast. And I feel like we're all close, but I feel like we became closer because of it.
Well, That's kind of cool because you guys have been together a long time. I mean, man, it's actually a rarity for shows to go this long anymore. I mean, nowadays you're thinking if a show goes 2 or 3 seasons, that's really good.
Yeah.
And now you guys have gone 9 seasons. That's
it's shocking. It's incredible. I still pinch myself all the time that because it's something that so few actors will ever experience, being on a show for almost a decade. Of course, I guess I've been on, this is my 8th season with the show. But yeah, it's such an adventure. It's a wild ride, and it's really cool to work alongside other actors who've gone through it with you, and you just have so much in common because of it. Like, oh, do you remember on that trip when we were in LA? Do you remember when this happened? Oh, do you remember that? It's really cool. It's definitely a family dynamic.
That's cool. That's really neat. So I got to see Fishing for Love not too long ago.
You did.
And of course I was thrilled because finally you got to be a leading character. Finally. And I was so excited when I saw that this movie was coming. And I just thought, because I know how long you have worked, you've been patient, you've put in the time, you've never tried to rush it. You because so often we were seeing you be the bride. I lost track of how many times you got married.
I've worn every style wedding gown that you can imagine, which is cool.
Well, and you've always worn them beautifully. I mean,
thank you.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I look at you now and thinking, you look even more incredible now, just more beautiful.
Oh my gosh, Ruth, that's so sweet.
Seriously. I mean, you just get more and more beautiful as the time goes on. And
my gosh, I don't know if that's possible, but I will.
It is.
I will blush and take that.
Well, I think it has more to do. I mean, when I look at people, and especially women, it's all about that inner beauty just begins to come out as you mature. And I think as women mature, if they're comfortable with who they are, they really have worked on themselves to be the best version of themselves. Mm-hmm. That inner beauty just comes out, and I see it in you. I mean, you just look so, and you look very, motherhood definitely agrees with you, no doubt.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very sweet. Yeah, I think that comes with being in your 30s. I think you have more of a sense of self and more confidence and just less time to devote to things that don't matter. And yeah, especially being able to do this. I love acting so much. I love telling stories so much. And just getting to do this on a regular basis is such a gift. And I think deep down, that's why I'm just so excited to do these movies. I'm so excited to share these movies and I don't know. It just makes me very, very, very happy.
Yeah. So what was it like finally being the leading lady? What was that experience like?
Oh, it was such a long time coming. Like you mentioned, I had been offered some lead roles probably I want to say 2 years prior to me actually being able to do it, but because of scheduling, I was never able to commit. So we shot Fishing for Love last January, 2021, and I was elated. I'm like, finally, my schedule it's permitting me to do this. I can't wait. And I knew exactly how I wanted to tackle it. And all that I care about on these movies is that everyone's having fun. That's the only thing. I want us to, obviously we have to make our days and, make everything as good as possible. But I don't have fun if people around me aren't having fun. So I just wanted to keep things light and exciting. And all the actors on that project were phenomenal. It was a super thrilling, super fun experience. And the cool thing about Fishing for Love is we shot in this little town called Brentwood Bay. And of course, in the movie, it's called Mystic Bay, but it really it was itself a small town. We shot the whole thing within the confines of this small fishing town. And we met a bunch of the locals. We got to go on boats with local fishermen, and we learned I feel like we really got to immerse ourselves in a town, unlike a lot of movies where you kind of drive all around and you have scattered locations and then the movie comes together and you're like, right, that's a town. But we really had that feeling shooting that movie. And yeah, I was thrilled. I couldn't wait to tackle it. And I enjoyed every second of that shoot.
And that came across. Absolutely. No doubt you were having the time of your life.
Yes.
And so was everybody else. It was a fun, light movie. Exactly what you wanted to convey. It was conveyed, no doubt.
Oh, good.
Definitely.
Yeah, I loved it. Loved every second.
And I believe you have another movie coming. Isn't that what I just saw?
Yes, I've got so last year I shot 3 movies back to back to back, Fishing for Love, and then the one that I have coming out actually this Sunday on Up TV at 7:00. I know One Calls the Heart starts an hour later, so I don't know what I'm gonna do on Twitter, but I will be on Twitter. Yeah, that one's called The Wedding Fix, and it was a very similar experience. Super fun. Just you're a conventional feel-good wedding movie where there's a disaster that we have to kind of fix before the big day, and that stars an Australian actor named Patch May, who is fantastic and super, super, super funny. And yeah, that's coming out on Sunday on Up TV in the States. And then of course there'll be a Canadian air date at some point, but yeah, premiering Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. So that's, because I had just noticed that yesterday and I thought, oh, and I get to talk to her. So I got to remember to bring that up. So yeah.
Kind of snuck up on me. I was asked to do an interview a couple days ago and I was like, oh my gosh, it's coming out on the 20th. Okay. And then I realized, I think yesterday, I'm like, oh, the 20th is Sunday when Calls the Heart comes out. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. Ruth Reedy asks, did you know or work with Amanda Wong before When Calls the Heart?
No, this was my first time working with Amanda. We knew some people in common, and that's quite common in the industry. She had done a movie with a director that I had worked with previously, and I had heard only good things. And she's super intelligent, super cool, and we got along fabulously right off the bat. And our characters have a bit of a history because they're linked from the past. So we had a lot of scenes together, and it was really, really fun. There's a lot of girl power involved in that dynamic, I think, because even though Faith doesn't quite understand what is going on with Amanda's character, they share some commonalities. They're both women in male-dominated professions who are trying to prove themselves. So I think that connects them.
What is it like having your daughter's a toddler now? Isn't that right?
Yeah, she's 2. She's 2 and she's crazy.
Oh wow! So how has that changed? I mean, I know how it was. You were able to really work it out well when she was little and you were going back to work. Now that she's a toddler, has that changed the dynamic as far as working goes?
I'd say I'm a little bit more exhausted. So running around after a toddler is exhausting. Yeah, I went back to work 7 weeks after having the baby, which was, looking back, rather crazy. And it's an interesting job. I mean, there are some upsides for sure, because no matter what you're doing as an actor, there will be some downtime. Sometimes rarely, and sometimes there will be longer periods of downtime, and that's wonderful, because when you have that downtime, you can fully commit it to being a parent and being with your child, and that's amazing. And then when things get crazy again, the hours can be very long, the days can be wild, you might have to travel, you might have to be out of town, and that's hard. But I always like to look at it as there's a work ethic that I want to instill in my child, and I want her to be able to be like, yeah, my mom works very hard. And when, she might have to be away for periods of time, but when she's with me, she is with me and fully engaged and there. And so I think it actually makes you a better parent, because you really cherish every moment that you get with your kid.
I absolutely love the way you put that, Andrea. And I don't always hear that from mothers that work in any profession, because there is sometimes that stigma of, oh, I'm a working mom and I'm not fully able to give all the time that I want to my child, but I love you're fully present when, you know, you work hard, but when you're with her, you're fully present, and that's
her time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't think there should be guilt either. I know some moms might feel guilty. I have to work and I should be home. I think that there's a lot that a kid will learn from a really hardworking parent. So I think that there are a lot of bonuses that come with it as well. And plus she's come with me when I'm on location. She can come with me too, which is also kind of neat because she's still super young. So she's not in school yet. So there's a bit of freedom and flexibility there.
Oh, that's great. And I'll tell you that I agree. My daughter's now in college.
Wow, she's in college. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Martha's in college. She's studying art education.
Oh, good. That's amazing. You must be so proud.
Yeah, I am definitely. But I can say seriously that even as being a working mom, and a working single mom, but thankfully my parents have been a huge help, of course. But I agree. I don't have guilt. I don't feel like I missed out. You know, I don't feel so I agree exactly with what you're saying. Valerie Abu asks, does the fact that you have a child change your view of how you see life now?
Oh, of course. Everything changed. I mean, I heard that and I didn't really understand. You just don't understand until you have a kid. But yeah, everything changes. Your perspective changes. What's important to you completely shifts. I also think that it makes you a better actor in certain ways because it changes your viewpoint. It's not all about you anymore. So yeah, it changes everything, and in the best way.
Vicky,
hi, Andrea.
Hi.
Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So I really wanted to ask you, since Ruth mentioned you were cast for a movie with figure skaters, and Ruth also mentioned that you did figure skating.
Yes.
And I've been a competitive figure skater for almost 20 years of my life.
No way. That's so cool.
Thanks. So I wanted to ask you, did you compete in figure skating as well, or did you just skate on your own or take lessons?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my mom was actually a figure skating coach for years and years, and she's still extremely immersed in the Canadian figure skating system. She knows everything. She knows everybody. She goes to every competition. I was a competitive skater. I worked my way up as a teenager, got into acting at 15, and that's when things kind of shifted for me, and I put the priority on acting. But I grew up at the rink. I skated 2 to 3 times a week before school and almost every day after school throughout elementary and most of high school. And I did all of my skills. I did artistic, I did ice dance. I did everything. And
amazing.
My biggest memory of those years was just being freezing cold. You work, you're warm when you're doing all your jumps and everything. But even so, my hands, I could never warm up my hands. I just remember being so cold, deep cold. And I still feel that if I go into an arena today, I'm like, oh, that deep freezing feeling deep down. It's just very nostalgic for me. But
I totally get that. People keep saying to me, why are you cold? You're a figure skater. It's like, where's the sense in that?
Part of my soul. It's part of my being. Yeah.
Like now that I'm also judging figure skating, I would put on layers and layers and layers because I'm always afraid of dying of cold.
Yes. I can't imagine being a judge, how many layers you would need. I don't know if it would be possible to be warm if I was judging, but that's cool.
But they sometimes give us heating blankets, so this make life easier, definitely.
Okay, good. I'm glad they're taking care of you. You deserve that. Yeah. No coach should be cold, or no judge should be cold, or they won't be able to judge effectively. So,
right? And another question would be: did the fact that you were skating help you on your acting career? because as skaters, you sometimes hear in interviews that they're kind of actors on the ice, interpreting the music and, you know, playing a character. So could you take something from the skating and put it into your acting?
Oh, 100%. I think so much of what I've been able to do as an actor, I think so much of that foundation comes from figure skating, because you're right, it's a performative sport, and if you're not conveying things, your artistic scores are going to go way down. So absolutely, I think I derived a lot of performative skills from that sport, and I also think a lot of discipline as well.
For sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Vicky. Thank you. And Vicky is actually from Vienna, Austria.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
All right.
A figure skater and fellow figure skater.
Timmy.
Hi, Andrea. It's hard to follow up after these questions. They're really brilliant. I like them. I have a lot more generic one. I wanted to ask you, if your daughter decided to follow suit and become an actress, what would be your most important advice to her?
Ooh, that's a good question. See, I've decided to kind of keep her out of any kind of spotlight for now, because I want her to make her own decisions when she's old enough. But what advice would I give? First of all, I would just wait. I would want to make sure that it was something she really, really, really wanted to do. Because I've seen parents pushing their kids in this business, and I don't think that is the right thing to do. I've seen some sad outcomes as a result of that. So I would just want to make sure that she pushed herself, and that this is something she really, really wanted, and she could prove that she was willing to work very hard towards. And of course, I would support whatever my child would want to do in the future, but I would also make sure that I kind of kept an eye out and you know, make sure she made the right choices too. So yeah, I think I'm waiting. Like, I'm not putting her in anything. That's not the plan right now, but if she expresses interest, I'll think about it.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, excellent question. That was not just a generic question. That was a really good one. That was a really good one. All right.
Questions here.
So,
okay. Hi, Andrea. First of all, you also will always be Faith to me, because I feel like I have grown. Since Ruth first met you, and I've kind of grown into your character, and she's told me so much about your times together. And I just feel like that we have connected, even though I've never met you. And I just want to say, absolutely, you're such a beautiful, beautiful example of a woman. I just, your face glows, and the life and the light that is in your eyes. And I just want to thank you for that. First of all, being a beautiful example for all of us. And I'm so happy to hear your take on your character Faith, because it's always been kind of my complaint when Ruth would say, well, what do you think, Mom? Oh, I just don't like what they're doing with Faith. It's something there's missing, you know, and I'm beginning to see that even in this season that she is evolving and becoming more of I would say a powerful woman in all areas, even though that during that era would have been very difficult to follow the profession that she's following. Same with the gal that plays or with Amy. So I just want to thank you, though. And if you're ever looking for a family, you are welcome. I would love to adopt you as I would be absolutely great. So if you ever get lonely and you just, come my way, you're welcome. You're welcome. So thank you, Faith. Thank you. See, I said Faith. Thank you, Andrea.
I love it. And you never have to apologize for calling an actor by their character. I think that ultimately means maybe they've done something right. So I love it. I love that.
All right. So now you can see that I come by a lot of these things honestly. It's my mom. You can kind of see the similarities there.
So sweet.
It's very sweet. Very sweet. And we have Paula.
Hello.
Hi.
I want to go back to your college days.
Love it.
I love questions. It. It says that you had a BA in English literature and in filming, and a master's in filming.
Correct.
my grandson's daughter right now is in University of Miami, and she did English literature, and she wanted to go to filming, and her father says, you can't give up English literature. You stay with English literature, then you can do your filming.
Oh, so that's amazing.
They've had to make shorts. Did you have to make a short when you were in school?
Most of the film studies work that I did was more historical based. So it was a lot of writing, a lot of examining the past and the history of film, cinema, filmmaking. And then I actually bridged into philosophy through film. I know that's a very strange sounding thing to do, but in the arts, you end up traveling and you go to conferences and you present your ideas and your writing, and then you get published. So I was more focused. I actually used my English lit skills when I was studying film, because I was looking at it from, I guess you could say, more of a historical perspective. So I didn't really make any films in college, which I know sounds kind of strange, but I was also acting at the time. So I feel like I kind of got the best of all worlds. And I loved my time in college. I spent way too many years there. I was in a 2-year master's program. And I was living in LA, and I was working via distance, and I ended up spending 5 years in a 2-year program. I think I finished right around the time, I think I finished in my second year on When Calls the Heart. I think I was still in my master's program when I had just finished. It was right around that time. So it was a lot of years, and it was really fun. And I think it really gives you critical thinking skills that I apply as an actor daily. So I loved it. And that's so fantastic. I love hearing that she's doing English lit and film as well. It's such a cool balance.
Yeah. My daughter-in-law had to clean the house because they called last night, can they borrow her house for filming? And so they've been filming there all day.
That's so cool. Oh, good for them.
I want to be there. Yeah. My last question is you said your movie is on Up channel.
Yes.
Do you have to get permission from Hallmark to do a movie that isn't a Hallmark movie?
That's a very good question. And everyone will give you a different answer because it completely depends on your contract. I think now they're starting to sign exclusivity deals with certain actors, meaning you're going to stick with that network for, let's say, 4 movies or 3 movies, but not everybody has to sign those. I'm at this point, I am free to work on projects wherever I so choose, but some actors are under exclusivity contracts as well. So it very much depends.
Like Andrew was telling us, he asked Hallmark if it was all right for him to do a GAC one. Do you have to ask? Do you ask, or you just can do it?
Yeah, it's a conversation that I would have. But that's interesting that Andrew asked, because I think the thing is, this content, this Hallmark style movie content has become so popular, and there are so many. I mean, also Netflix is now making them, Hulu is now making them. I heard that Paramount Plus is getting into family friendly content, and then you have Up TV, you have Fish Flicks, you just endless amounts of outlets, which is fantastic. But it does cause some confusion for actors, because you're like, oh well, I don't want to leave where I'm comfortable and where I feel like I have a family. So it's always a conversation worth having, but they're not going to stop you unless you have signed a contract saying that you are exclusive to that network.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent question. That's really, really good. This is what I love about my audience. Is like, I just sit back and let them ask the hard questions.
It's so cool.
All right. And another Paula. Now she's from Canada, by the way. Paula Waters.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, I have a very important generic question.
All right.
Are you pro Nathan Stash and Soul Patch, or no Nathan Stash and Soul Patch?
Oh my goodness. Am I going to get in trouble either way if I give my answer? No. Am I pro? Okay, I am 100% pro, because first of all, I like facial hair. I think it looks very good. I think he looks extremely handsome with it. But that's besides the point. I think that character-wise, he's trying to find himself. I think he's got to mend his heart a little bit, and sometimes when people do that, they need to change. And I just thought that was such a fabulous way of bringing that pain out in a physical way. And I think that it says a lot about the state that he's in. So I think I'm 100% pro. I thought it was a fabulous idea, but I'm sure people aren't going to agree with me.
Good answer. And I have another question. You being Canadian, where's your go-to escape place? There's so many great places here.
In Canada.
Yeah, like where's a special Canadian escape place?
Oh, there are so many. I love the Far East Coast. I love Toronto. I love the prairies are so beautiful. I've actually spent a little bit of time in Alberta recently, and I actually lived there for a couple of years when I was a little kid. So I've always felt very connected to that province in that way. But there is just something to be said for the expansive landscapes, the mountains, just the prairies. The Chinooks are so strange, those insane shifts in weather patterns. So I don't know. I don't know if I could pick one place because I think everything in Canada is so unique and special in its own way. But I would love to shoot a movie in Alberta. I've never done that, and I am interested in doing it. And I think the landscape is beautiful.
Have you been to Canmore?
Oh, yes, I have. I have actually quite recently. It is gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Well, thank you. All right.
Good
luck.
Great question.
I seem to, and I loved all those questions. I mean, that's what I love.
Good. I haven't been asked any of those before. I just think that's so cool.
And my audience, they just come up with like the best questions that I never thought about, or it's great. I feel like I have like a lot of co-hosts. Like
co-hosts. That's what Lindy Williams always used to call it, the co-hosts. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's because they're that good. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness, Nathan.
Got my Mountie costume on.
That's awesome. Wow. I love it.
Chad, you're a great Chad. We love you.
All right. I got a question about When Calls the Heart. Season 8, during the finale, after the finale aired, people were thinking that maybe Nathan was going to get shipped together with Faith. And I was wondering what your thoughts on that. Was that an idea that the writers came up with or anything?
I think the way, I can't even remember the discussions that were had prior to that episode, but I remember thinking in that moment, it was just this nice, I thought it was a really nice way to kind of cap off the season for two people who've been very unlucky in love and things have not gone their way. And I just thought it's one of my favorite parts about Hope Valley, actually, when characters come in and check in with one another. And I thought that was a really interesting moment because you have two characters who've just endured heartbreak, who are very much pillars in the society, who are trying to prove to everyone that they are fine. And deep down, they're both probably not fine. And I think that there was some commonality there. And I love that scene. That was one of my favorite scenes of the season, just because a check-in like that can be so impactful. So I was by no means, and I don't think these characters are in a position at the end of season 8 to make any decisions about their future romantic lives. They just need to check in. And that's all that was. And I think it was effective. And of course, people are going to read into anything because that's what happens on this show. We like pairing people. And that's always really fun. But I think it was just an "Are you okay?" moment. And I really, really, really like that.
Good question. Yeah, Chad, I think we need to put you on the show. I mean, you're ready.
Perfectly. Well, just grow a little mustache, a soul patch, and you'll it's seamless.
Chad is an actor, and and he's a podcaster, and cool. I've had him on the show. Actually, he had a unicorn hat when I had him on the show. Oh my goodness!
Thanks, Andrea. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. I love the outfit. Love it.
I'm not sure what she's asking about. Okay.
And I sent it by mistake quickly.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a bit of PG info that no one else might know?
Oh, she wants to know if you have Paul Greene info that nobody else knows.
Oh, Paul. Do I have any info? No, I don't think so. Paul, one of the great things about Paul is he's so transparent and he's so open, and he never hides anything. And I think he's the same way on social media. He's so open and kind. And I'm trying to think, do I have any secrets about Paul? Probably. Would I, but I wouldn't even know where to begin. I don't know. He's great. I hope that I love seeing all his updates with his little baby.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, I know. I know. I had the experience of, I had to fill in for him at Christmas Con, basically. Because
the baby was due.
Right. The baby was 2 weeks late. And so I had but it was a great experience. I mean, it was all good. I was there for him. I manned his table.
You're the representative.
Yeah, I was the representative, most definitely. Which reminds, so do you have anything else coming up that you can mention as far as, I mean, I know we have, of course, When Calls the Heart season 9, which we'll be watching for sure. And then we have your new movie coming up this Sunday on Up. But do you have anything else upcoming that you can mention?
So okay, let me just, I have to like Rolodex this in my head. Yeah, When Calls the Heart is airing. Fishing for Love, there are lots of reruns of that on Up TV. The Wedding Fix airs on Up TV this Sunday at 7, and I will be on Twitter. And I'm going to get Patch on Twitter because he's hilarious, and he's not good at Twitter, but he said he would join, which I can't wait. He's one of the funniest people I've ever worked with. I also have a movie forthcoming with Marcus Rosner, who is fabulous. We shot that last, I think, April. Still no release date on that yet. And I think the title's changing. So TBD, but that was a fabulous project. I adore working with him. I can't wait to work with him again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously crossing fingers for a season 10 of When Calls the Heart. And yes, I have something else kind of in the works at the moment, not fully official, so can't quite say anything yet. And then I'm also writing, and I'm starting to pitch projects as well. So there's some stuff happening.
That's good to hear, because I know that's been a dream of yours and you've been working on it. So that's good to hear. You mentioned Marcus. I'm thinking, my goodness, you could get the rumor mill going again. Start posting pictures of you and Marcus.
I know. The internet thinks that we're married. So
I remember that you when you guys were in that movie and you were posting pictures, the wedding pictures yeah, and people were thinking, oh, is his character coming back to When Calls the Heart? Do he and Faith come? I remember the rumor mill was going like crazy.
Yes, I remember that too, and we've had a good laugh about that. But yeah, we have been married before on screen. We've worked on a few projects together. We have so many friends in common. And of course, he was such an integral character in season 2 of When Calls the Heart, because he wanted to marry Elizabeth. I would love for that character to make a return to Hope Valley. I would love to see where that character is today. I don't know. I think it'd be really fun to check in with.
I agree. Yeah, him, and then Andrew Walker's character needs to come back too.
Yes,
I think that would be
guy, right?
Or well, they've mentioned his twin. He could have a twin that's a good guy. They've had there's
yes. I love this. I love Andrew. He's so lovely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just want to thank you, Andrea, so much for being here, for being such an incredible guest. I mean, it's always been a delight. I've always loved our chats, and now to be able to share it with and for other people to be able to see how great you are as well. They get to see how amazing you are.
I think this is a really cool way of having a chat. I love this. It's so cool getting to see people's faces, because so often on social media it's just a little avatar, a little picture, and you know, it's cool to see people's faces.
I agree with you completely on that. So if you guys would like to unmute and express your appreciation to Andrea, go ahead by all means.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. This was super fun.
All right.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you so much. It was really entertaining.
Picking great movies for us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, have a great day, and thank you again, Andrea. And we'll talk again sometime soon.
We'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.
As I was reviewing this particular episode, because it has been a few weeks, that's why you might hear a couple dates that are not quite right. But as I was reviewing it, I realized that I had a Freudian slip because I nearly did say I was the co-host. And you know what? I really think that's what it's becoming. This podcast, my guests have been so amazing. And I cannot thank everybody who has contributed to the success and the growth of my podcast. Media from the Heart has taken on a life of its own. We're beginning to have inside jokes and things that we can always look forward to. But one thing I will always tell you guys that you can expect from every one of my episodes is authentic conversation that lifts people up. And there is no better person to be an ambassador for lifting people up and just being an absolute joy, pleasure, and so much more, so vivacious, so energetic. Andrea, you have my heart. And I cannot thank you enough, my very, very dear friend, for being a part of this podcast episode and this amazing experience. Thank you all for being here. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, I would love it if you would follow, rate, review, tell your friends. Join my Facebook group so that you can be a part of the conversation in real time. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, smash the like button, as they say, and let me know what you think, because I really do value your thoughts. Thank you all again for your investment of your time. To guests like Andrea Brooks, thank you for your time, your talent, and your amazing spirit. Till next time, God bless all of you and keep you safe. Bye for now.